Sup Smashers, this is Ippo coming at you with another video on Marth. This one's going to be on Wavedashing and Wavelanding and some things that you might not know about it and some ways to practice it and some useful techniques with it. So first of all, Wavedash, as we all know, I've gone over this in a couple other videos, it's just you jump in the air and you air dodge in a direction, and it makes you kind of do a quick little landing on it with, I believe, something like 10 frames of lag when you land on the ground. So this is useful because if you do that and right after you leave the ground, you kind of just appear to slide on the ground, whereas in actuality you're jumping and air dodging diagonally down into the ground at different angles. So there's two different kinds of wave dash that are important. I suppose one's a wave dash, one's not, and that would be like a wave dash and what's called a triangle jump. A triangle jump, I believe, is where you jump in the air and you air dodge so that your air dodge animation is kind of out for a little bit, but you do end up kind of getting the quick land onto the ground and able to kind of act out of that. So you'll notice when Marth does that, he makes a little sound. I've got my sound turned down right now. With Fox, he goes utta. Like every time you do this, he goes utta. I believe Marth goes unt, unt, unt every time I'm doing these. So that's the wave dash that you don't want to do, that you really don't want to practice in most situations. The one you want to get is this one, where I'm doing these right now, and Marth shouldn't be making any kind of unta sound. He should just be kind of making like that little wave dash sound where you don't hear much, and he just kind of slides on the ground. So that was a messed up one. So that's wave dashing. We all know how that works. So now I'm going to go over ways to practice it. So I'd say the first thing I would practice with wave dashing is just wave dashing across the stage. So you'll notice there I was wave dashing forward. I was doing stationary but moving forward wave dashes, and it took me 5 wave dashes to get across the stage. Now I'll do it again, but it's going to look a little different this time. Again, to start yourself off, just go to where you're teetering off the ledge and then turn around. So I'm doing them a little differently this time. You notice I got across with 4. That's because on these I was either running, walking, or so I was either walking or dashing right before doing my wave dash, and that actually gives you some extra distance on your wave dash if you didn't know about that. And obviously if you run and then wave dash like that, it's going to give you extra distance. But if you run or walk for even a frame before you wave dash, it affects your forward distance you get. So that's another thing to take into consideration when practicing this. Is the normal one, you should be able to get across battlefield here in 5, and on the one where you're moving forward, you should be able to get across in 4, and I think you can do it in 3 if you really get them super crispy. And obviously the distance that you go from wave dash is variable. If I'm doing air dodges like that direction, kind of 45 degrees or more towards straight down, he's going to go like a certain distance, not very far, and you can really manipulate it to go really not that far at all. Or if I go almost straight horizontally, you can see Marth goes a much greater distance, and it's really useful if you can get these distances down, because say you're kind of far from the ledge but you want to get there, you can do a max distance wave dash and get to the ledge pretty far away from the ledge. Whereas if you didn't do a max distance wave dash, you'd just end up right here every time. Not far enough, but if you do a max distance one, you can get there. So definitely practice your max distance wave dashes, your in-between distance wave dashes, and practice wave dashing out of a dash and run and kind of recognizing how far that takes you. So definitely to practice that, just wave dash back and forth across the stage. You can do it on different stages. I just like Battlefield. Battlefield is a good stage for what we're going to go over next, which is Wavelanding. So Wavelanding is the exact same mechanic, just instead of air dodging immediately after we jump, we're going to jump and actually be in the air for a minute and then land with an air dodge. And Wavelanding is going to be a little bit more difficult to get that good sound where Marth doesn't go the and make that sound. So don't worry if on your wavelands if you can't get that immediately. But in the future, you want to make sure that you're paying attention, you're being cognizant of that when practicing, so that you're not always making that sound. So the first thing I think that would be most important with wavelanding, probably 2 things, would be like platform wavelanding, where you can just get comfortable jumping on a platform, air dodging diagonally onto it, and then wavelanding off, just like that. And then once you get comfortable with that, just jumping up and wavelanding off, I would try to incorporate a double jump and jump onto the platform and waveland off again. This is like the really beginner wavelanding thing that I would practice on platforms, because it just creates like a little tricky movement. Whether you're in between stocks and your opponent's respawning, or you're trying to like escape your opponent, once you take this to like the highest level, you can like waveland off the side with a hack dash, and then come up here. And if you're competent with your platform wavelands, you can really be really evasive. Marth usually a super good grounded character, so you want to stay on the ground, but it's really important not to neglect any part of your game. So you want to be able to waveland on and off these platforms like it's no big deal. And it really just, if anything, it can even like kind of intimidate like a newer opponent. But regardless, I would definitely practice jumping on the platform, wavelanding off, jumping on a platform. You can get to the ledge by doing that, just like that. And I would practice just wavelanding on and off the platforms. Now the second thing about wavelanding on and off platforms is that if you waveland or wavedash forward off a platform, you see that Marth goes into this teetering animation. Even if you do it right here, where I'm right next to the ledge, he's gonna kind of either get stuck in a shield, or he's gonna go into that teetering animation, and he's not gonna be able to get off the platform. So that might seem like a big deal, but the way to counter it is you just hold forward. So I'm wave dashing and then holding forward, and Marth gets off the platform no problem. If I waveland and hold forward, same difference. Marth will always get off the platform facing forward. But that is a slightly different input than wave dashing off backwards, because you notice whenever you wave dash or waveland off backwards, Marth just falls off the platform. So it is useful to know how to counter that wave dash and waveland off forward. So the next thing, that's the platforms. Platforms is really important to be able to waveland on and off of them. Second thing I'd practice is wavelanding out of a short hop. All this is really useful for is like tricky movement. Say you're like threatening somebody with short hop fares or something, and then you kind of waveland back into something defensive, or if you're kind of retreating like this, and then you can waveland forward and maybe shark with something else. You can even incorporate like the Bizarro Flame. Like it's kind of different with Marth, because Marth doesn't threaten forward air as heavy as like a Ganondorf would. But regardless, if you can do it out of a double jump as well, and then just waveland towards your opponent, maybe get them with like forward smash, stuff like that. If you really got someone stuck in shield, you can like waveland and do stuff like that. It's really a situational thing. If you know what Tomahawks are, where you just basically jump in front of somebody, you do an empty hop and then grab. It's kind of the same concept. You're really preying on your opponent's fear and getting free stuff because of the waveland movement. So kind of putting the fear in your opponent and utilizing it by getting these crispy wavelands is important. And how to practice this is I would just do short hops and then waveland across the stage. There I'm doing waveland backs, so this would be like more of a defensive option. And then practice your waveland forwards. And just get comfortable with that, because that is a really useful technique. And a lot of times I've gotten people with just short hopping like this and then waveland in forward smash. Not a great option in neutral. Forward smash never really is, but if it connects, then it's a good idea. So that's wavelanding off short hop. Now, just kind of close this out, I'm going to go over some less utilized things that aren't very important, but important to know. So if I do a full hop nair and I do it rising, Marth can waveland out of that full hop nair. So that's important to note. Just if you accidentally get up there with an air, or if you hit someone, in a lot of situations you want to be able to not just land and then be vulnerable, although you're not very vulnerable, but wavelanding out of it just creates another option. So important to know. And then believe it or not, if you short hop fair, you can waveland out of that. Kind of difficult, kind of the similar timing to the short hop double fair. I think the short hop double fair is a little easier than the fair waveland, but useful to know. And again, super important if your opponent is used to the visual cue of seeing Marth do a short hop fair and then land on the ground, either a little bit in front or a little bit behind, and then all of a sudden you do a short hop fair and you go like a third of the stage with forward smash. That can really be useful. Or grab. A lot of good options out of short hop fair. Or if anything, you can short hop fair and then get super far away with a retreating option like that. So that a little bit more difficult. If you've seen this video and you are kind of new to a lot of these techniques, don't worry about the fair yet. Try to get your wave dashes down so that you can wave dash across the stage in your certain amount of wave dashes. Get really comfortable with that so that Marth does not make the "nta" sound every time that you wave dash, so he's not going like this. He's not doing these triangle jumps where you're air dodging for a little bit. So you're not really vulnerable when you're doing these air dodges because you are invincible for most of it. But it's just it's not crisp, it's not fast, and you're losing valuable frames. So that would be the first thing I'd practice. The second thing would be getting on and off of the platforms with wave dashes, or wavelands rather, and just getting comfortable with doing that, because it's important to be able to control your character, and Marth's movement is like one of his most important things. A lot of characters rely on movement, some not as important, but Marth certainly, if not the most important character in the game to be able to move around with. And his grounded movement definitely more important, so like your dash dance and wave dashes out of that, but definitely should not underutilize your platform game with Marth, because it really lets you get to places you wouldn't previously be able to get to, and it just makes you a little bit more evasive. Battlefield, not the only stage that this stuff works on, obviously. Yoshi's, Dreamland, Stadium, uh, Fountain of Dreams, and then FD is not going to have any platforms, but whatever. So I definitely practice this on all of them. I'm kind of guilty of practicing on Battlefield more than other stages, but certainly Yoshi's and Dreamland and Stadium have some really good platforms for wave landing on and off of. Fountain a little bit more difficult because they move around. But so this has been wave dashing and wave landing with Ippo. Hope this helps some newer Marths. You guys should definitely practice this stuff. If you liked the video, give me a like. If you want to see something new with Marth, if you want to see like a new SSBM training tips on the next Marth one, let me know in the comments section, or PM me, or whatever you want to do, and I will hopefully be able to get your video out. I'm trying to do a Marth killer video, the light shield edge guard trick next, and then perhaps some power shield falco lasers and wave dash out of them and do stuff like that. So let me know what you think, guys, and happy practicing.